Welcome to the Packers family. I'm Damon Sewell.
And I'm Christian Walter.
And today we're going to analyze the Packers at 49ers. So a little bit of history.
We don't play good.
We don't play good in Cali. Not at all. Matter of fact, since 2018, the Packers are 1-4 in California. That being said, that one win we do have happened last year in 2020, where most of the 49ers players were injured or on the COVID list. So the Niners were at a disadvantage, and the Packers, I don't have a problem with it, took advantage. So what is it going to mean now in 2021 when they're going to have their full players, it seems like? Now, they do have some injuries here and there.
Yeah, Jason Verrett's out.
Yeah.
Their best corner, but...
Yeah, I mean, but besides that, I mean...
They're still pretty healthy.
They're pretty healthy overall.
Not Joey Bosa, but Nick Bosa back. He's a beast.
And so we're going to see what the Packers can do in California on another long trip, just like they had in week 1 going all the way down to Florida. We're going to have to go on another long trip all the way to California to Santa Clara to play the 49ers. And that doesn't normally bode well for the Packers when they have to travel a long ways.
No, normally our games where we put up duds, like when we put up against the Saints.
I don't know, they just seem like they come off the bus looking like they're sleepwalking.
Oh, I'm sure it's a tiring trip.
It has to be. And so what can they do differently to fix that? That's yet to be seen. I don't know. We'll find out. Last year it did seem like it worked out all right. It was a Thursday night game in California, if I'm not mistaken. And but like I said, there was a ton of injuries in the Niners. As most people know, last year wasn't their best year because they did have a lot of injuries. So let's get started. First we're going to talk about is the 49ers defense and what we saw from them week 1 and week 2. First thing I want to talk about is their defensive line.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the league.
Absolutely. They're really, really good. Specifically Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is just dominant force up front. Watching him against the Eagles, he really gets off the line, gets off his blocks. He disrupts things. I did see the Eagles find some advantage kind of running away from him a little bit. But he is a game disruptor, big time.
Fred Warner, to me, he's one of the best linebackers in the game.
Yeah. And
good in coverage, good against the run. I mean, he's the whole package.
Yeah. Their linebackers are fast, too. Sometimes they look like they can be too fast. You know what I mean? As in, they may not see things correctly, and they might run really fast the wrong way as they're being deceived by a sleight of hand type of play. And next thing you know, they find themselves off, and the play's going the other direction. I noticed that with the Eagles a few times with some of these, with Jalen Hurts' read options and stuff. They really got confused on those. But their linebackers are fast. They're good tacklers. They can cover real quick. They're good. They're really, really good. So their front seven is something to be dealt with. Their defensive backs.
That's their weakest part.
And they're not, bad to say the least or anything.
No, they're not terrible. They have good safety play, and corners are all right.
They're young.
They play aggressive, which they do get a lot of penalties for it.
They do. They had a couple penalties in the first half against the Eagles alone, and I think one in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. And a couple of times, because of their aggression and because how young they are, they got beat deep. It might be a place the Packers might want to look to try to get them. Their safety play can cover a lot of that though, too.
They have pretty good safeties, but if we can use our veteran wide receivers against those young DBs, I think that's where the Packers have to attack the Niners.
Yep. I think that's where their advantages are going to be at. Not to say that the running game won't be there.
It won't be easy, though.
It won't be easy. The Lions and Eagles both had success running the ball. It's just, it wasn't necessarily going to be their priority going into the game, unless you have Jalen Hurts, who can use his running ability to help open up the running game. Running lanes are going to be available. It's just,
we have to take advantage of it when they give us a running lane.
Absolutely. Moving on to the 49ers offense.
Deebo
Samuel, I have it written down in my notes. Deebo Samuel is a problem. They line him up all over the field. They line him in the backfield, slot, wide out. Wherever they need him to be successful, they put him anywhere. He has so much success so far this season. It's ridiculous. He is so good, and that's something the Packers are going to kind of keep an eye on. Who can cover him up?
Every time I see a highlight of the Niners this season, it's Debo deep somewhere.
Debo's deep. He's
or
coming
he's catching
out
on the run and just yards after the catch.
making guys miss. Which brings us to their next best option on their offense, George Kittle. Now, George Kittle didn't have a huge statistical game against the Eagles.
No, but he's such a good run blocking tight end.
He got those run lanes open for a lot of those running backs, who are really young, by the way. We'll talk about them in a little bit. And when he did run routes, he dictated coverage. I don't know how many times you would see against the Eagles how they had him double covered, leaving some other wide receiver wide open. I mean, that's how they got their first touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. They doubled Kittle in the center of the field, leaving a one-on-one opportunity on the outside for a wide open touchdown. And it's because they were worried about Kittle. How are the Packers going to play him? I don't know. George Kittle is somebody to be reckoned with, too. Now, we talked about Deebo Samuel. We talked about George Kittle. Now, who's getting them the ball? Jimmy G played all of the game against the Eagles, while Trey Lance didn't get any opportunities one bit. Now, week 1, Trey Lance did.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't think Trey Lance starts yet.
I
Jimmy G has put up enough so far to keep this job.
Now, let's talk about Jimmy G a little bit. It did seem like he was off timing-wise against the Eagles. He missed some throws here and there. Maybe threw a little late, a little early. His timing was just off. Now, maybe that's because the Niners, of how they were going back and forth between quarterbacks for a long time. He hasn't worked up enough repetition with him.
Could have been the trip, too. That's a long trip from Santa Clara to Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, that's a long trip. Absolutely. But I do think the Packers need to be ready for some play from Trey Lance.
Trey Lance, because we have a history of not being able to guard dual threat quarterbacks.
And Trey Lance is extremely athletic. He's a total mystery to the Packers. He's very fast. He can get around. He's got great arm talent. And I have nightmares as a Packers fan of a super fast, really athletic quarterback with a big arm in Santa Clara.
He had like 200 rushing yards on us in that playoff game.
Don't bring it up, man.
Don't bring it up.
Don't bring it up. Their offensive line, though. Their offensive line seems like they might be average to below average. Don't get me wrong, the Eagles' defensive line is really tough. Maybe that was an unfair look, but the Lions even got some pressure off of some of those looks. And it's because I think their offensive line may not be as good as I once thought myself. So if we can get pressure through the offensive line, that'd be great. Their offensive line does need a lot of help, it seems. And I think the running backs.
They're young, very young.
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to be starting that game? Kyle Shanahan's offenses are normally... Jermichael Hasty might start that game. Trey Sermon might start that game. Elijah Mitchell might start that game. We don't know.
We don't know.
Kyle Shanahan kind of uses a running back by committee approach.
Yeah, it's whoever the hot hand is. That's how it's always been with the 49ers, it seems like. So what's going to happen with the running backs? The Packers' defensive line has been pretty leaky against that. They're not necessarily been completely consistent on the defensive line, and they've let up some running lanes in the past. We'll see what happens. But that's the 49ers offense. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the Packers. And we're going to start with the Packers defense. We're looking for consistency. Are they going to be all over the field looking like they don't know what they're doing? Or are they going to be able to stand their ground, apply pressure, stop the run when necessary? We're not looking for perfection.
No, we just need to stop their biggest threats, George Kittle and Debo, and their run game, of course.
Yeah.
You know, if we can just hold it just a little bit to give, maybe get a few turnovers, give our offense some sparks there, get more points.
Get them energized, because it seems like any time
we drop down low.
Anytime. Anytime we head out long distance travel, it seems like our energy level's low. And I fully believe it's on the defense to get that energy heightened. The more plays they make, the more energy the away team gets. And it's going to come down to our defense to do that. Another question I have is, who's going to guard Deebo Samuel? Is it going to be Jair?
Jair normally lines up preferably on that one side of the field. Normally, he don't really shadow all the time. So,
And Jair's really good. So does that mean Debo's going to be all over the? I mean, is Debo going to avoid him, or is he going to work on there sometimes? Or
it better not be Kevin King.
Don't want Kevin King.
It better not be Kevin King.
But how are we going to focus on Debo Samuel, and how much attention are we going to give to George Kittle? It seems like, yeah, he takes up a couple of guys, but that leaves someone else open. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully our Packers defense can stand tall, make a few stops here, and give it to our Packers offense, which also needs consistency. So far this season, they've shown some inconsistencies in certain games. Can we stay on time? Can the offense stay on time? Can they stay ahead of the chains? To do this, I think they need to run the ball.
Run the ball. That's always the first part of any game plan, in my opinion. If you can keep them chains going, play action,
we can find some success.
You have your offense humming at that point.
Especially with those young corners. If we can get the ball running just enough, it doesn't even have to be...
It doesn't have to be a great running game.
It doesn't have to be great.
Just enough to make them respect our run. Bring those linebackers pushing up. That opens up the middle of the field for us.
Mike McCarthy used to talk about how he didn't really think the running game needed to have big chunk plays in the running game. Just needed to have enough running games to make defenses respected.
2-3 yards per carry. That's just enough to keep those
Honest.
linebackers like, do I want to play this or do I want to commit to the run this play?
And that could allow for some good play action. And as we have already talked about, those young corners on the 49ers defense can be burned. I'm looking for a pretty good game for Marquez Valdez-Scantling in this one. We've talked about a lot here, about the Packers heading out west to California where they haven't had a whole lot of success. Talked about the 49ers offense and defense. We talked about the Packers defense and offense. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, and go Pack Go!